All right, welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap. This is your host, Kriss and Dpalm here, and we are back. We're back on to the regular schedule of reviewing the fall TV shows. So we're gonna dive right into it. I don't think we have any new reviews on iTunes, but again, remember to rate the show Super Tuesday Recap on iTunes, and we'll rate it. We'll read those reviews on air. Also, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to. I know some of you guys don't listen to us on iTunes. You're listening to us on YouTube. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, MTR Network, or subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music. Just search for Super Tuesday Recap. Subscribe to us there, and make sure you're getting all of the stuff we got coming out. I think later on this week we're going to have our first review of the first 3 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. So make sure you are subscribed to get all that stuff out there. Today we're jumping right into the first of our, and it's probably going to be the shortest of the shows that we're going to be reviewing this fall season. Inhumans. We're doing the first 2 episodes that premiered on Friday. So it's Behold the Inhumans. Tensions arise between the members of Adelan royal family, and then those who would destroy us. The royal family is separated and scattered in Hawaii, hunted by the royal guard. Black Bolt is arrested while his brother takes over as king. So I am definitely bad cop on this one. So I'm going to let Dpalm start what he thought about the first 2 episodes of this show.
I thought, and I think maybe a lot of the bad copish had permeated even like my attempts to ignore it, because I went in with lowered expectations and I didn't hate it. I think that it was marketed weirdly. I think a lot of decisions around it were weird. That to put it in IMAX is a really weird decision. To put it in theaters, a weird decision. But for what it was, a pilot of a television show, I thought it was really interesting. I thought you communicated the motivations well. I thought they spent enough time with each character. It did leave you wanting more of certain characters, and it left me wondering what's next. So it achieved the goals I look for in a pilot. Go ahead, do whatever you're gonna do.
All right, no, I'll be the bad guy. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, no, it's a pilot. You're right, and I definitely think this time I said on Friday before it even came out. If you're a fan of the Black Eye Tips and you're a premium member, you probably heard me say this on the Nerd Off. I definitely believe that, and this is something that I don't think critics and people get, is if you are insanely harsh on something, one, you're going to drive people to watch it, and 2, you're going to make the bar so low that if it's not tripping over it, people might find and be like, hey, you know what? It wasn't that bad. And it's enjoyable. So, and I think that's a lot of that going on. Because I'm going to be honest here. This is the worst pilot for a comic book show we've seen in a long time, and we deserve better. Like, if this was not from the same people who gave us Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, okay. But this was bad. And the only reason why I'm willing to stick it through is that preview for the rest of the season looked infinitely better than what we saw in that 2 hours. Because that 2 hours was bad. Everything about it felt like it was rushed. They didn't try, and they spent too much money on the IMAX camera for the wide shots than actual putting things together. Because it's just like none of it lived to the standards we've set for all the other shows we review. None of the other shows we review.
I agree with that.
And that's what annoys me, because it's not that I'm having, unfair expectations for this. It's just that, like I said, after the show went off, I put out there was one of my favorite action scenes from Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is from season 2. It's when Daisy goes off on I think it's like the season finale, and she does that long tracking shot where she kills a bunch of that one shot in the room and kill. And I'm like, that was season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is, now you're bringing in Inhumans, which you benched Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for, instead of bringing it back when it should have. You benched Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. to put Inhumans out there. You did this big push to get it into IMAX. You did all that stuff. There's not a single scene in these 2 hours that even makes me go, I want to see that shit again. There's not a single scene like that. And that's bad. Now, I
think for me, you're right. Because like everything you're saying is 100% fair and 100% correct. I think for me is that I tried to watch it in a vacuum and not to watch it as part of the connective tissue of what we've seen so far.
And you have to. And I'll be honest, you have to. You
right.
have to. You absolutely have to get past all this other stuff I'm saying. And my problem is I just couldn't. You know, and
you know, and that's because Marvel taught you not to. Marvel taught you to treat it that way. So I can't get mad if anyone has that stance that you're holding. I can't get mad at that.
And I will say this. I'll say this. I definitely do think. I think a lot of the bad negative reviews that came out of before, I don't think they were, not to say they weren't accurate, but I think that they definitely had agendas in place. Because it's not as bad as, it's not the horrible mess that these people are making it. And then some of the things that people were bringing up didn't make sense. Like, for instance, one of the things that kept going around where before it even premiered in IMAX is people were complaining about the fact that it's like, well, Jeff Loeb didn't answer my question about how the audience would know what Karnak's powers are. And I'm like, well, like, he was actually one of the few that you didn't have to worry about that with. Like, you could figure that shit out. Like, right. that was like, that's
like, why would I tell you about 5 minutes we're going to use in the pilot?
Right.
Like, that's a scene.
That's a scene. So it's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, and so there were a lot of these, the reviews and the critiques about it that didn't feel right. Like, for instance, all right, if you're going to complain that it doesn't look as good as it should in IMAX, that's valid, but you also know it's a TV show. So am I really going to...
People are like, it looks cheap. I'm like, it is cheap.
It's a TV show, and you're right. Like, if we want to complain about it not being IMAX worthy, then that's fine. But that doesn't go to the series, because the rest of the series is not going to be an IMAX, right? This is not an IMAX TV show. So if you want to question that makes sense. So it's stuff like that. But to me, there are just fundamental things that, and we'll go through this as we go through it. There are fundamental things I looked at and go, this is not a Marvel TV show. From the standards you guys have set, it's not even up to the CW, what they've done with their shows over there. I don't know what some of these decisions you were making, but this is a huge step back in some of the things they were doing. And I'll start with this. The thing that got me the most was, me and you, we did a whole Inhumans character corner. So we know the background of these characters. If you do not know anything about the Inhumans other than what you've seen and what's been built up on Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which... Again, how can you not? I mean, they literally bring Inhumans into Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. When you see these Inhumans, you're confused. Because there's no...
And they throw a couple breadcrumbs out, but you're right, it's not clear.
There's no clear thing. Like, you know, and so... Because, for instance, like, what we know as going through the thing, Inhumans aren't just when you change and go through Terrigenesis. They are... genetically superior to humans, even if they don't go through Terrigenesis. But here in the show, I'm like, wait, so are they just humans? Are they just like there was no voiceover? Like, imagine what the show had been if they opened it up with Maximus giving kind of a voiceover and explaining what the Inhumans were on that these set of Inhumans were, and explaining what the royal family was and who they are and what their powers are. Right? You do that, you instantly now set them apart from the Inhumans on Earth, because before then it doesn't make any sense. Like, they open with the Triton trying to get this Inhuman girl, and my first question was, well, why is this Inhuman girl being hunted? They're not hunting Inhumans on Earth anymore. Well,
and that's the other things we don't know, because remember, the last season ended with an attack in the room.
Valid.
Like, we don't know. See, for me, I actually kind of like that. I was like, okay, there's been some sort of time jump. Things have definitely changed.
Right. And again, you know, that's something that, you know, and later on when you find out that it's Maximus that, but I was like, oh, okay, no, you know what? That makes sense. I'm okay with that then. But it's still one of those things where it's like, you're dropping us into a world that you made a very big point of making separated kinda from the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. world, but then we don't have the background to understand what's going on. Like, we talk shit about that early Inhumans issue, that Marvel Knights Inhumans 12 issue run, because it's not really good. But it does a better job of explaining the differences that they're trying to do in the show. Like when the differences between those two the two young Inhumans that go through Terrigenesis, and one comes out with the wings, and one of them doesn't seem like he has any powers at all, right? Like the book does a better job of kind of explaining that the caste system among Inhumans is kind of racist, right? And it's really bullshit. And so when Maximus is trying to rally the people against his brother, you kind of side with him because you're like, yeah, they're dicks. And it makes sense. Here, it's just kind of like, okay. I mean, I guess you got to do it that way, and that's what you're doing. But I don't know. I feel like it wasn't earned. Like they were expecting you to have some kind of knowledge. Like we already knew these characters before, and I'm like, we don't.
Right.
None of us know.
They assumed a lot.
They assume a super lot.
What it was is it's kind of tropey to have the expository opening moments, and they were trying to shoot around that, but in their efforts to avoid being cliche, they left the audience in the dark for a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think it gets clearer. I think it gets clearer as the show goes on. Like as Maximus' turn occurs, everything gets a little bit clearer as to what you're supposed to be feeling. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I think that if you'd aired maybe the first 3 episodes, like I feel like I got left in the middle of a story.
No, absolutely. Like
which is what you're supposed to be on a television show, but not in your launching event.
Exactly. They don't. Well, and this comes to my next thing. My next biggest thing. I think this is kind of go into the why I think they could have worked. Like when we watched last season of The Flash, and there were some issues with, it didn't take the landing, and season wasn't overall didn't take the landing, didn't do it. But there's still a strong enough acting among everybody there that I'm like, I can still live with some shirt. I'll be honest here. The acting on this was not good. I was not feeling almost any, not even our man who plays Maximus. Like, he's just playing Ramsay Bolton, but light.
See, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I kind of liked what he did.
No, he's not bad, but like, and he's obviously the strongest one there, but like, he's just playing his Game of Thrones character. And I'm like, there's no distinguishing between him and like, I don't know. And again, maybe that's just me, but even then, it's just one guy.
But he's all. But let's be fair. He's also that was Maximus.
Yeah, he's sane Maximus, which I wasn't expecting.
Oh yeah, this is. But I think that part of the story is going to be him becoming crazier and crazier.
Which is why I'm willing to allow it to go. And I do think he can pull it off. Like, he can definitely.
Part of it's the fact that like we're trying to like, and I think, and I've been trying to figure out where a lot of those early super negative reviews came from. I think they were expecting a full story, and that this was clearly a serialized 8-part series.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, and this is why those early reviews, I think, did themselves a disservice because they were so anxious to hate it.
But hey, the ratings were actually pretty good. They matched Shield,
right?
Season 4 open, right?
Right. Yeah. But on the first hour, it dipped after the second hour. But like,
I'm sure it did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think more fans who weren't already in, like, I wasn't gonna watch this anyway, but I'm just tuning in for it to go bad. I think other than them, most people were like, I'm gonna keep watching it. But this goes back to what I was saying about people and reviewing things. You can't review, like, when you went to go review the IMAX opening 2 hours, it's a TV show. So if your whole thing is they didn't answer all my questions, well, duh. There's 6 more fucking episodes. So what the fuck are you thinking? Like, that's not a valid critique. And so things like that I throw out.
Right.
But like, going back to what I was saying, like, Ewan's the only one that can really act. Everybody else was terrible. Like, the acting on this.
I like Karnak.
Okay, I'll give you. Karnak.
I liked because I'm a Crystal fan, so I felt like they hit the right notes with Crystal. But those are the 2 I'll defend.
Yeah, because, well, I'll get into Crystal later. It's not that I didn't like the acting with her. It's like they
neutered the character because she's
too powerful.
Know what? If you get the Crystal that you and I want to read, she's overpowered.
And that's the thing. And so it's one of those things where I think I would have felt better if she had not been the one left on. Like, I think it would have been better if they had left Medusa on the moon, and they had taken Crystal to Earth, because that would have made more sense, because like you said, she is way overpowered. And so when I'm watching Crystal, this powerful elemental, and she's literally on room arrest with nothing, and I'm going, you guys do know she can burn this whole entire place down, right? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is like there was
Max is like suitably afraid of her.
Yeah, he should be. And so like when they didn't put her in cuffs, they didn't put her in a dampening. There was nothing there, and I'm like, so you literally just sent her to her room with dinner? Like, what? And so I don't. Again, it goes back to the decisions made here. It's like, no, okay, you cut off Medusa's hair. We'll get into that later. So she's depowered. You leave her on the moon, and you send Crystal, the powerful one, to Earth. Because actually, and honestly, makes more sense. Follows more along the lines of the comic book, and you can have that there. Like that makes sense here. And so instead, they went with the idea of sending Medusa to Earth so she can go and find Black Bolt, because their love is power. I'm like, I'm sorry, but neither one of them are strong enough actors for that. And that's another problem. Like, Anson Mount and Sarandon Schwan, those scenes were horrible. I know some people like Mount's face acting. It was annoying. He was constipated the entire time. Like, I'll give some a positive here. Love the fact that they give him sign language. I don't think it's a real American sign language. I think he was doing the thing that dude.
They invented one for him and her.
Okay, and I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, like, it was. I'm watching and going, wait, is it the dude from Harvey? The guy who was giving the fake signs during the Harvey press conference. I'm like, wait,
why are you like this?
Why am I like this? I'm just saying, like, dude, I'm asking questions. I'm just saying. But no, I think that makes sense though, because it makes more sense to have, and even in the comics, he doesn't use silence, but you see him sometimes making gestures with his hands, and so that I enjoyed that. But he looks like he's always constipated. I mean, am I wrong here?
You're not wrong still, man.
I'm just saying. And so when you're having, and again, I do think, because remember, being fair here, when Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. started, everybody was saying how tight Brent Ward was. Brent Ward. How tight oh my God, why am I fucking losing my mind here? Brett Dalton. Why, like, everybody's talking about how tight Brett Dalton was, but then he loosened up because they changed his character. So, like, again, maybe they just, I think the schedule for how they rushed through this, maybe they hadn't settled into their role.
And also, like, having to shoot two episodes for however long on IMAX cameras and then go back to shooting like a television show.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been conducive into losing yourself in the role.
Well, and this is why I think that again, I was so down on this until I saw the preview. So I was watching the preview and I'm like, they look more natural. The action scenes look better. And then it hit me. I was like, you guys wasted all your money on the IMAX cameras.
On these stupid ass cameras.
You wasted all your money on the stupid ass cameras and you rushed it through, and you got a shit pilot out there. And now you might not actually get the rest of the series might be actually decent. It might be up to the standards we've been looking for. Because there's at one point, where was it? Who was the girl that was basically Maximus's right hand? Aaron or something like that.
Oh, Aaron, yeah, it's a more minor character in the books. Like, it was good to see they used like stuff from canon, but it was interesting to me.
Yeah, well, so in the preview, she has like a wheel kick, and I'm like, where was that in the fucking 2 hours? Like, she does a wheel. I saw the wheel kick, and I'm like, well, shit. Now I gotta watch, because it looks like that action is way better than anything I've seen before. And so I don't know. I think there were a lot of poor production decisions that went into the 2 hours.
I think they shouldn't have hyped the 2 hour thing. Just like, it's the first episode of a television show.
Should have just put it on
treat
TV.
it like a television show and not put it in the movie theater and not blowing money on IMAX cameras.
Yeah.
You could have given us more of what Marvel does best on television. That's character.
Right. Because it seems like what they're
But you wanted to go for spectacle and the wide shot of the invisible city on the moon, which, by the way, my first watch of this, I was like, it feels a little small. And then I went back and watched it again. I was like, it should feel small. It should feel constrained. They achieved that goal well because Maximus's plan to expand makes sense because everything does feel constrained.
Right. Right. And it feels, I don't know, it just felt like the pacing of these 2 hours felt like they were rushing to get to these set. Some of it just didn't make any sense, but I see where the story is trying to be good. Like the idea of, you have, they're not SHIELD agent, but whatever that the government officials and the girl is, the woman is trying to find out what was on the moon. I even like the idea of Maximus sending Triton down to, you find out he sent Triton down to get these other humans because like they're part of us. They are. It
ties
humans.
You directly back into the show we love.
Right. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like that. Let's keep going with that. And even like the idea of what they're trying to go with Maximus trying to take over and like what are the people now. Doesn't seem like they're going with the alpha primitives, but they're kind of just going with the caste system in general among the Inhumans, which again still works. That works, but that works as an overall story. Just the execution of all this stuff didn't. Like I like what they're trying to do in terms of the story.
It just felt like they kept missing.
Yeah, everything was a miss to me. Like it just doesn't land. Like there were the scenes with I guess the scenes that are supposed to be important, like when Maximus is making these speeches or when, he was confronting Medusa and things like that. I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. And that scene with Medusa taking out the, like, again, the IMAX camera. Well, the IMAX camera thing. Because again, when you see the preview, and I keep going back to the preview because again, the preview looks so much better than what we saw. In the preview, you don't see them doing slow motion. On the show though, they did slow motion. I think because they were using the IMAX camera and they're trying to figure out ways they could cheaply use IMAX and use it that way. So what they did was they did these fight scenes in slow motion. So you had Medusa taking out these guards one at a time with her hair because they decided to come at her like it was like an old school kung fu movie where where everybody attacks one at a time. And I'm like, the fuck? We literally just watched The Defenders where we saw Elektra taking out guards 2, 3, 4 at a time. The fuck? Right. We've seen this before in other shows. We've seen Agent May and we've seen Daisy Johnson. We've seen all these people do this shit. What are you doing here, man? Like, this is a horrible fucking scene. We ended last season with Ghost Rider killing fucking Ada. We had Ada and
teaming up with Quake.
We had fucking Super Skrull fucking we had a fucking Super Skrull fucking LMD, all right? And now you give me this. What? What? Like the scene with Karnak. Like I love the way they use his powers, right? Because again, Karnak did and this goes back to my thing that they need to explain. They should have had some way of explaining what the characters are because did Karnak go through Terrigenesis now? Because I'm assuming that I don't know. It's kind of I don't know where everybody stands. I don't know where everybody stands. I don't know how it works. Did Maximus go through Terrigenesis and maybe his powers didn't come through? Because at one point I think Crystal says the one thing that I remember that cut deep. She was like, "You're just human." You're not. Yeah. You're just human. You're nothing special. So did he go through Terrigenesis and then not?
From what I gathered, he went through Terrigenesis, and the genetic testing said that he was now not even an inhuman, just a baseline human.
Right. So, and again, maybe we get to the point where his powers like manifest late, like the
psychosis.
Right, as a psychosis, and again, that's fine. That would make sense. But
give him room to grow. It's fine. Yeah.
But there was no explanation of that, right? There was no explanation. But I think you have to do that. Like, not that his powers grow, but like when that kid goes through and they think that he doesn't have any powers, and Maximus kind of comforts him. Like you can kind of maybe possibly like deduce that okay, Maximus went through and he doesn't have powers, and that's why he's kind of doing this. Like, but they never explained that. Like you got to explain. You don't have to explain that Maximus is going to get his powers later on, but you got to do basic storytelling and explain why Maximus went over to them and why Maximus is seen at the side. Like, that goes a long way as like explaining some of the thing, and it actually puts more people on Maximus' side going, oh, so they're being classes. Like you don't have powers, and even though you're part of the family.
See, I thought they did that with his speech because it started with one of the lowlies accusing him of deserving to be in the lower caste.
Right.
But he's only not down there because of his family.
Right.
And then that precipitating his speech, I thought maybe they could have been more explicit. I thought they hinted at it well enough for me.
Okay. Like I said, I think the strongest.
I'm also someone who knows the story and is like looking for things.
Exactly, and I'm trying to look at it from the point of view of how much of this can I explain away because I know the story, like I know where they're trying to go with, right. And honestly, while Max is a horrible guy, he's definitely a villain, and you don't want to go villain agenda on him. Like I said, when we did our Inhumans character corner, it's like, hey, he's not entirely wrong all the time though. His methods are bad. But his brother and cousins, they're not.
They captured that part of the character well,
right? Like that is something that I think that you can kind of get with. The execution wasn't always well, but you got that idea. Like, Maximus has the ear of the people, and it's because, well, hey, the rest of you guys literally are fucking assholes. Like even down to the idea of when Karnak, like it was funny when Karnak was, and that girl was giving him the eye, and you were like, oh, maybe he's gonna make his move, and then he turned out to be an asshole. It's like, it's not like it was one thing when they're like, oh man, come on, Gorgon, you could have gotten up there, but then you're thinking about it, you're like, dude, you're an asshole. Like beyond just using your powers and beyond just having the ability to see weaknesses.
Like you didn't have to say all that.
Right? You didn't have, right. You are a dick. And so it's things like that I like. That works.
2.5 days.
Right. Right. 2.5 days. What? You're a fucking dick. Like just shut the fuck up. So again, I do think there was a lot of people that were looking for things that weren't there. Like I remember, like halfway through, I think it was in episode 2, there were a lot of people going on. Man, I mean, they didn't put Gorgon in hooves. They put him in Tim's. I'm like, guys, when you first saw him, he had hooves. Like, what do you? They had specially made boots for him. Like, I think there were some people that they didn't care, and that they were just trying to get jokes off. I'm like, he definitely had hooves. Like the first time you see him. He has like the whole thing about the girl, like the whole thing about the rover was that it looks like a hoof. Like,
I'm not saying it's a hoof, but it just looks like a hoof. That's
right.
what I said.
It's definitely a hoof, and he had hooves. And so I'm just like, yeah, guys, they just put boots
turned into people wanting to get jokes off, which is fine,
right?
But like, it's not accurate.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't accurate. I'm like, yo, he definitely had hooves. You saw it before. They just put him in boots, and they put him in boots. You wanna know why? Because the actor can't walk in the other shit. He can't. I'm sorry. That's the other thing that got me. I was like, he looks like he's about to tip over. He can't walk in them. Like, you got a guy. He can't walk in the costume. Like it was shit like that was just getting me. It was like, I'm not trying to be nitpicky here, but the man can't walk in them. He can't walk in them. Like it's blatantly obvious he can't walk in that shit. Did you guys film this and give him like 2 days to get comfortable with them? What the fuck, man?
I'm telling you, man. I think the back half of this is going to be a lot better because it feels like the shoot for the IMAX stuff was like, we were in it for 3 days. We only got 3 days to shoot it. Let's go. These aren't our cameras in the schools. Let's go.
Right. we don't even have the permits for this shit.
Find these out, man.
We don't even have the permits for this. We got to get this shit done now. My permit was done like 2 days ago. This is illegal. We can all go to jail.
That's how it feels, right?
No, it honestly does. It honestly does. And again, that's why I keep going back to the preview look infinitely better. They look more comfortable. They look like they were in there. They didn't know they were. It looked like sometimes during these scenes that the actors themselves were just happy to be there. Hey, I'm a superhero. It's like,
yeah, and it's wild because television shows are generally the best when there's time for the cast to gel and they get the comfort around each other and they get to tell the story. So it was an interesting decision to say, oh, these guys don't know each other that well yet. Let's shoot the first two in the most expensive way possible so we can highlight the lack of chemistry.
Right. And I think there was even something that came out that said that, the director of the first 2 episodes, like, literally didn't have a lot of time to do this. It's like, I can tell. Like, it just, there were things that you didn't get, and it just didn't work because of that. But again, going back to what you were saying and trying to tamp down the bad cop thing, like, I do think it gets better. And so I will stick it out, but like that, I expect better from Marvel TV. I mean, that's just what it is.
That's fair.
Like they
told you to expect better.
Yeah, you've given me 4 seasons of Agent of Shield and 2 seasons of Agent Carter, you know, that all were better than this, and had better pilots. Like that, you know, the Agent of Shield pilot was better than this. The Agent Carter pilot was better than this. You've had a long time to kind of learn from mistakes and go into this. And the difference between another thing too is like, I think instead of comparing to Agent of Shield, let's compare it to Agent Carter, because Agent Carter was another one of those things that had only 8 episodes. It was a tight 8 episodes. They had everything together, and they had a lead character that you could get behind in Haley Atwell. In this one, who is the lead?
It's Maximus.
Okay. All right. That's what I'm thinking too.
That's my reading of it. Like, who else is? If only in the same reason you and I talked in the mailbag this week. You guys should go listen to that too. Make sure you subscribe to Super Tuesday so you get all our mailbags. Anyway,
that's why I pay you the big bucks, or don't.
No, the same reason you and I discussed this could never cross over in like Guardians or anything, because there's no legitimate stars on the show outside of Ramsey Bolton, like whoever his name. I don't honestly. Everyone calls him Ramsey. I just all I know his name as. But like Haley Atwell is she was in Captain America the movie.
Right.
She can carry things.
Right.
We've yet to see anyone on this cast historically. So I'm not precluding them the ability to grow and change and be more than they were, but so far, no one here has done that.
Yeah.
There's no compelling strength like Haley Atwell. We loved Agent Carter. Yeah, it was a good story. It was a tight pilot, but she's also charming as hell.
And Agent Shield has Clark Gregg, who was also in, you know, like was at one point the connecting tissue of the MCU. They built it around Agent Carter, like Clark Gregg being around there. We didn't get any of that with him. I mean, Anson Mount has been in other things, but his biggest thing was being, I think, the lead in Hell on Wheels. You know, that's what he's pretty much known for. Like, and again, maybe he'll kind of get into the rest of this.
He'll rise to the occasion, but so far, 2 hours in, I don't know. You're right. You shouldn't be asking who the lead is.
Right. And again, maybe it comes down to, like I said, I don't know. There were just some really interesting choices. Like when Gorgon tried to fight the water. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
Look, I'm not going to defend everything you did.
like, don't, because it was one of those weird things that it's like, wait, how do you what are you doing, dude? Are you literally going to, like, at first I thought he was going to cause an earthquake and like maybe part the water or something like that. I'm like, oh, I can go with that. And then the motherfucker just kept walking until he almost drowned in the water. I'm like, what the fuck just happened here? What was that scene supposed to be? Like, has he never seen water before?
Understand oxygen. I don't know.
He's never seen water before. He literally has his cousin who fucking, you know, the only thing his cousin does is fucking swim. That's the only thing his cousin can do. His cousin's a fucking giant fish.
As soon as he died, I was like, fucking Kriss. If you haven't listened to our character corner on the Inhumans, you should go do that, because Kriss says something in there that I was just like, well, apparently, like, this is why we sell Blame Kriss t-shirts. This is why. Why do you sell? This is why. Don't ask that question anymore.
Saying he's just a fucking fit. Like out of all, like
I'm just saying, out of all the answer to that question.
That's the thing too. Like out of all of the people you could have sent on this mission, fucking Black Bolt, you sent the fish, the guy who was useless outside of fucking water.
You sent Fish Boy. Like the fuck, Black Bolt. Like let's be real. You sent Fish Boy, and yes, I'll give you this: the planet's mostly water. In a vacuum, not the worst plan. However, with reading the next line of people don't live in that water, that would preclude you from sending Triton.
I'm just saying.
First line, send him in the water. Bingo, bango, send fish.
I'll say.
Next line, humans don't live in the water. Hold up, someone call Triton.
You know what? This is another one. I'll give Maximus on this one. Maximus was dead right when he called a Black Bolt on that. It was like, why would you do that? Like, that was stupid. Like, he basically was like, that was fucking stupid. And I'm like, yes, Maximus. Yes. Good. Thank you, Maximus. See, I'll follow this guy. This guy's smart. Like, it was fucking stupid.
Villain agenda early too, guys.
Villain agenda early. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Maximus is right. That's all. That's the one thing I took out of these 2 hours. Maximus is definitely fucking right. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I feel like seeing the rest of that preview, we'll see. Like I said, I'll be interested in seeing what happens in episode 3, because it seems like in episode 3 you get down to being able to get back to a normal, what you can do with a normal budget when you don't have to worry about paying for really expensive cameras. Which
yeah.
And that might actually mean you can actually get actors fighting, and get them actually pay for choreography, and I don't know. You can just do other things than what we see in this thing here, because it wasn't really good. It wasn't that great. Like the butterfly wings. Like, dude, I was just like,
it wasn't great. But
I can see the string. Yeah, I can watch it too. I mean, it's only 6 more. Here's the thing: it's only 6 more episodes. I can do 6. I can do
right.
that. I can do that. So, and we'll see. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of. I don't know if there's any like big theories or anything we can go with this. Like it was a pretty straightforward, 2 hours. So I'll give them that. I'm interested in seeing what they do with Medusa now, because you've basically made it now so you have the two big members of the royal family are basically powerless, because Black Bolt can't really use his powers, and now you've taken away you I guess they don't understand what water is and what waves are, but apparently they are able to get bevel, because I believe that Max would use a bevel shaver to shave Medusa's head, because okay.
Well, I think that was also a little hint that Maximus has had more connection with Earth than any of us know.
Oh, absolutely, because he had the people on Earth. He had the, like, when you find out, like, that was a big reveal when you find out that he had the. It
should have hit better. It didn't hit well.
It didn't. Well, because it
was a really good reveal. It was well done. I thought, oh, this is a good time to reveal. Why don't I give a shit?
And I think it's because it even the way they laid out the episodes, the pacing was off. The pacing, the jumping between the segues in between scenes, it just all was very, very fucking off, and didn't make sense. And so it didn't land. So it didn't get because like that was like an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. level reveal, right? Where you go, oh shit, the call's coming from inside the house. It's like you should feel something, but you don't at that point. And it sucks. That is one of the bigger reveals. That Aaron still being alive after being stabbed. Again, Medusa, take the fucking knife. Take the fucking knife.
Right.
Take the fucking knife. That should have, again, landed a little bit harder. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, he definitely has. Again, it'll be interesting seeing what they do with Medusa now, because again, the comics, he does shave her head, but she reveals that it's because I'm still connecting my hair even when it's not shaved. So you were only able to cut it because I let you cut it. But I somehow don't get the feeling that's what they're going for here.
Right.
So
Me too.
So it's almost as if somebody read that in the comments and said, "Oh, and the Medusa's hair can be cut can be shaved off." And I'm like, no, not really, because that was basically
they read parts of a lot of comics,
right? And I'm like, that was not what that meant, because if her hair is as strong as it can be, how can you cut? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, you assholes. It doesn't make any sense. Like, so again, it's gonna be real interesting seeing how they try to walk that back, or how they try to deal with that, because it doesn't make any sense that you can shave Medusa's hair. It just doesn't. It logically doesn't make any sense that she lets you shave her head. And I mean, maybe we come to find out that this was all just like you said. The like in the comic, what you find is the entire thing is really just a plan by Black Bolt. Like he knows what Maximus is doing, and it was all part of his fucking plan.
To get Maximus to expose himself.
And maybe that's what they go here. I did not get that feeling. No. Again, maybe they can pull it out in the next 6 episodes. But if they don't, then I got a lot of fucking questions. So
a lot of questions.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So you got anything, man? Got anything else?
No, that was it. I'll be back next week, man. I'm not leaving this one. I think that there's a story there. I just don't know if they've got the chops to tell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you know what this is? These first 2 episodes I'm treating like I'm treating these like BVS, Suicide Squad, and Justice League. You know? I gotta see what comes after next. I gotta see episode 3 to really understand this is good enough. Just like I gotta see Aquaman to understand if WB Warner Brothers really gets what they need to fucking do. You know, I gotta see what comes next because I think it was already too late to fix some of these things, and this is them just trying to rip the Band-Aid off and going, fuck it, we'll see what happens next. Again, there are enough people out there that said that they liked it and they weren't that. Again, maybe the negative reviews had a reverse psychology effect and got people going, well, it's not that bad, so I'll tune in.
I think that's what happened to me. I was expecting like literal, like I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah,
but it was not that. Like I walked out. I was like, we're not supposed to be mad at that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not even mad. It's just like we deserve better. We deserve
been better.
Yeah, we deserve better. This is like going on our first date, and it's nice conversation, but it was a first date at McDonald's, and you're like, you could do better. Like I expected better from you. Like,
well, in that story, I assume you're 16.
Yeah. So we'll see. So. All right, folks. Again, Super Tuesday recap. We'll be back. The next time you hear from won't be Dpalm, but you'll hear myself, Hiroja, and the Doctor. We'll be talking about Star Trek Discovery, the first 3 episodes. So I just watched episode 2. Yeah, now that's a pilot where they just said we're gonna put all the fucking money into this shit and just hope see what happens. Like, I like that kind of pilot.
Do I need to watch this?
Oh yeah, nigga, this is good. Are you a Star Trek fan?
I mean, not like I'll watch the movies. I've never been like
I think you'll be okay.
diehard.
I think you'll be fine then. I think you'll really again. I think this cuts across all. I think if you're a diehard Star Trek fan, you'll like it. I think if you just like the movies, you'll definitely like it because it feels like it's more like that. They're going a direction that you wouldn't expect for Star Trek, particularly for when you like. I kind of knew what was coming just because I'm like they when they say who the lead is, I'm like, well, how are you gonna make her the lead if she's not the captain? Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. And they do certain things that, and then when you see what the rest of the season is going towards, I think you'll really enjoy it. So yeah, definitely check it out. Again, is CBS All Access worth it? Not sure about that one. But if you want to check that out, definitely check it out for Star Trek Discovery at least because that's good. So again, folks, thank you guys very much for listening and subscribe. Super Tuesday recap. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.